What's good, everybody? What's going on? JB here with another CyberInsight live stream. We're back continuing our little mini series on how to build secure networks. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's related to networks and then also kind of related to applications and servers as well. And that is dealing with different types of configuration backups, um, backing up important data, backing up different types of configuration baselines. All of that stuff all kind of goes together, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion on that. So let's hop over into the checklist that we've been using. This should look familiar to all of you by now if you've been tapped in watching these different videos as we've been putting them out. And yeah, really, within the checklist, there's a few different controls that, at least to me, I think they kind of align under this topic. So we're going to kind of bind them together and talk a little bit about them, and then maybe go a little bit more in depth into some things that are a little bit in the periphery. As we're going through this, if you have any questions or comments, drop those down below, and we will hit those up as well. So the first one here is dealing with making sure that your configurations are backed up and that they're stored in a secure location. And the reason why you want to make sure that you're doing that is because normally within configurations there's a lot of critical and pertinent information that can kind of put you at a disadvantage if it were to be leaked or compromised or something like that. So first off, you want to make sure that you're doing your backups. Second off, when you're doing those, you want to make sure that they are in some type of protected state. And if we kind of go down and look at this other control down here, this one's actually even calling out that those types of backups need to be encrypted. Now, again, this is going to depend upon your environment and kind of your risk preferences that you have, kind of, your tolerance for these types of different things. Are you storing them on a SAN? Are you actually backing them up to disk and moving them off, or DVD, stuff like that? I think if you're kind of putting them on removable media, for sure, you want to make sure that they are encrypted. If you're leaving them on a SAN, depending upon the physical security controls that you have in your environment, doing encryption at rest may or may not be worth the performance and additional costs that come with doing that. But again, that's really dependent upon the environment. Something else that kind of goes into this, we're going to hit on IDP and other security tools later on, but I figured I'd kind of lump this control in with this group, and that's talking about making sure that you are taking backups before you're doing updates to different types of devices. I just think that that's kind of another good practice to have, is having some type of periodic scheduled backups for your configurations. And there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do that, whether it's some type of automation or scheduled, or actual applications that go and back up configurations on a scheduled basis. The whole purpose with that kind of feeds into the reasons why we want to go ahead and back up information, right? So there's kind of, at least in my mind, a few different reasons that are forcing function behind this. I mean, first off, the primary reason is going to be in the event that you have some type of failure from a hardware perspective, and you have to rebuild your device or rebuild your environment. Having a backup of your configurations is going to make that be an awful lot easier, right? If your switch blows up and you don't have a backup of that config, it's going to be really hard to recreate that. Now, hopefully, you're using some type of configuration baseline across all of your devices. And it's not too hard to go and grab something off another device that might be, good for 80 or 85% of the configuration that should be on your device. But you don't have to deal with that if you actually do have good backups of your configurations. The second issue or concern of why we'd want to have the backups is more from a change management perspective. We want to make sure that we're tracking whenever different types of changes are made in the environment, and that also includes maintaining and updating those baseline configurations that I mentioned before. The third is, God forbid you're in a situation where devices end up being compromised in your environment, having a good, I'm trying to think what's the word I want to use here. Having a good collection of configurations earmarked with different times when they were updated, and kind of also feeding into hopefully having some type of accounting information along with when those configurations or configuration changes happened. So, date, time, user, IP that the device that was changed was accessed from. Having all of those types of things together makes it a lot easier after the fact when you have to do any type of forensic activities to determine if something was changed maliciously within your environment. So kind of taking a little bit of a step back, like I said, we're going to talk about some of the things that are on the periphery. While this primarily, the scope of this is dealing with network devices, it's good to kind of talk about config backups holistically just within your environment. And so that would be making sure that you are doing backups on different types of applications that you have, so configurations for your applications, your operating systems baselines, right? So let's say you're a Windows environment, you're using Active Directory, you have group policy objects that you have configured that gets pushed out to everything. It would be a good idea to make sure that you're backing up what those GPOs are. Again, for all of the same reasons that I mentioned before in regards to recovering from failure, change management, and then having the ability to do forensics due to malicious activities. So we talked about network devices, operating systems, GPOs, and applications. I think those, for the most part, is kind of the main areas that I would be focused on, making sure that there aren't any gaps in collecting configuration data. Now, as I briefly mentioned, there's a few different ways that you can go about doing this with an environment. Obviously, you can manually go and pull configuration files. That becomes a big pain in the ass, though. So that might not necessarily be something that you want to do unless it's a really, really small environment, or let's say it's a specific application that doesn't have any type of way to actually pull off configuration data. The better answer is having some type of form of automation. And again, that's going to depend upon what it is that we are looking to back up. With network devices, there's APIs that can be utilized to be able to pull that information. Same thing for applications. What you end up using to actually control that automation might be different in your environment. A lot of people are like moving towards using Ansible or Puppet or Chef, something like that. I've had quite a bit of experience in the past using SolarWinds, especially their network configuration manager, which is awesome. You can set up a whole bunch of different types of scheduled backup jobs, just like you can with Ansible, kind of pull all that information back. From a server perspective and doing different types of backups, really depends on whether or not we're talking about physical servers or virtual servers. If you do a lot with virtual servers, a favorite tool that I've used a lot in the past, which works really, really well, is Veeam. Really integrates very well with vCenter, and you can do a lot of cool and useful stuff with that. And then, again, like I mentioned, there might be one-offs where you actually have to manually pull stuff out. Again, this is going to go back to some of those specific controls that we were looking at here, where you want to make sure that you're protecting that information when you actually go and move it somewhere after you pull it off of whatever device the configs were on. So, all right, so that is it for today's little mini session. If anybody has any questions, they can go ahead and throw those out now. If you're not watching this live and you're watching this after the fact, if you drop some comments down below in the video on YouTube, or on Twitch, then yeah, definitely we'll get back to you with any thoughts on any comments or concerns that you have with any of these. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it's useful. Hit the like button. If this is your first time checking this stuff out, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button too. Love the community that we're building here and all the folks that are checking out all the videos. So yeah, let me know how I can support you. All right, so hope everybody has a great rest of their evening. And oh, go check out Davin Jackson's show this evening on his YouTube channel, DJax_alpha cybersecurity. He's going to be having Marcus Carey on there. That should be a lot of fun. Two awesome guys. If you aren't following either of them, definitely go check them out. So, all right, I will chat with everybody later. Take care.